So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my weekly Instagram live broadcast. For those of you who are looking and who don't know me, my name is John Wray and I'm the head of school at Mulgrave. And welcome to this weekly broadcast to the Mulgrave community. So first things first again, I hope you are all well. Last week I talked about wellness being not only in terms of physical wellness, but emotional wellness. So I hope you've been able to give that some thought and also maybe take some action to ensure your emotional health as well. So today I'm standing in the middle school lounge. I'll just move out the way so that you can actually see the backdrop there. And with the middle school lounge to the back of me, that means I'm looking out over Burrard Inlet on this wonderful day, looking out over UBC and the beautiful ships on the water. So a great backdrop today, at least a great view for me, not necessarily a good backdrop for you. So look, thanks for your questions last week. I have a couple of questions today, but also a couple of updates to give you as well. So the first question, really kind of building on last week, was how do I stay well during this time of pandemic? And I've given that some thought, and really it's a good opportunity for me to talk about not only my own wellness, but our approach to wellness at Mulgrave, not only today, but going forward. It's very likely that focus on student wellness and staff wellness and family wellness is going to be a focus of our strategic plan as we go forward. So what I use in terms of my own personal wellness is really I base my wellness on an approach in positive psychology. And at school we've adopted really a framework which is called positive education, which is based on the positive psychology approach. And simply it means is that we look at different aspects of our wellness with positive lenses. The first of those is our positive relationships. And we talked last week, I think, about the relationships around us being so important. So positive relationships is something that I try to focus on, and as we go forward as a school, trying to ensure that we surround ourselves with our families and our friends and our peer groups and our colleagues with very positive relationships. Building on that is positive emotions, always trying to ensure that the emotions that we have are positive ones. Negative emotions, as you know, can be very destructive if they stay with us a long time. The other aspects of positive psychology, which are aspects which are important, are feeling positively engaged, positive about our accomplishments, and things like having a clear sense of purpose and value in what you're doing and what I'm doing. For me, of course, that's very easy. I follow my vocation. I'm an educator, and therefore I do have a real meaningful sense of purpose and value in the work that I do, and I'm lucky enough to have had that for most of my life. The other aspect of positive psychology is really the physical aspect as well. So maintaining physical health and wellness is an important part of our framework as a school. I have to say, if I'm being very critical of myself and very honest, that's the aspects of wellness that I struggle most with, particularly in this time of pandemic. So it's good to be able to talk about those things because it has allowed me just to not only think about myself, but also to think about the framework, the positive psychology framework that we're using as a school. The second question today comes from a grade 9 parent. And again, on the theme of positivity, it's a really good one because the question was, what good things are coming out of this pandemic? What good things are coming out of this pandemic? And that's an interesting question to reflect on. I don't know about you, but when I sit down and watch the news in the evening on TV, it's full of things that aren't very positive. It's full of the tragedies of people passing, of the worries and the concerns that people have about the longevity of this pandemic. It's also, full of stories of people that are struggling financially and finding this whole situation economically very difficult. So I think this was a challenging question. So, I did think about what positive things are in our experience here at Mulgrave, what positive things are coming out of this. And I thought about learning, and I thought that we are finding very, very different and very flexible ways of learning during the pandemic. I think our students are showing much more independence in their learning than they would have had to, perhaps if they were in class every day with active teacher support. Ironically, I think we are using technology more effectively and efficiently in this situation, although there is a downside as well, which I won't dwell on, but I think there are some positive aspects about what we're learning about technology. And the final thing that I would like to emphasize around the positive outcomes of this situation is relationships. I don't know about all of you, but being close to my family has been a really positive thing. I hope that that's positive for you as well. But also, I've found myself reaching out via Zoom and video conferencing methods to connect with people I wouldn't connect with so regularly. And so there has been a positive side to relationships as well. So those are the two questions I want to answer today. I do want, however, to go on and just give it a couple of updates on various things. The first thing I'd really like to emphasize is to say a big thank you. And that's thank you to those members of the Mulgrave community who've supported the Mulgrave Community Relief Fund. It is very clear, even in the Mulgrave community, that we have families who are going to really struggle to keep their children at school next year. Businesses have closed, people have lost their regular employment in some cases, and some people are going to struggle. So to have some resources to draw on, to support those families in the short term, and particularly the coming year, is really important to us. And quite a number of people now have contributed to the Mulgrave Relief Fund, so we can help those families out. Beyond that, of course, I'm hearing stories every day of how people within our community, our Mulgrave community, are helping out other people in need too. I referenced just now, there's so many people just in Vancouver, but worldwide too, who've lost their employment, who are worried about putting food on the table, who are worried about paying their rent. And I'm hearing stories of families and students in particular supporting backpack buddies, supporting food banks, even supporting places like the aquarium where they're struggling to maintain their future. If you're interested in any of those places where you can help out, then we do have a dedicated website on the Mulgrave page, which you can find some ideas about how to help others. And really that sits at the core of who we are as a community and who we are as a school. That concept that, the whole goal of who we are and our education is to ensure that as our young people go into their future lives, they are committed to serving and to helping others is such an important aspect. I will conclude today just by giving a few updates around the plans for school opening. And very quickly, I want to follow that by saying that we have no indication yet from the provincial government or the provincial health authority about when the school will be open. We are getting some signs about how that might happen. Some of the signals seem to be around that the school might open first of all for our younger children, our junior school and our early years children. Those are some of the messages that are filtering out from the province. If I were a gambling person, I would have thought that it is most likely for that to happen immediately following our May break, which is at the end of May. I have been talking to heads of school in Quebec over the last few days, and some of you will know that in Quebec, the province has now said that schools will open, or some schools will open on the 11th of May, and it's quite interesting. They've issued very detailed guidance which schools have to follow around opening. And one interesting fact is that they've also said that schools must open, that there is no choice in this. So that's one of the things which we're just thinking about. I have been in touch with a number of families who say, look, our preference would be not to come back before the end of the summer. So we're just beginning to think about how we might, approach that, whereby we can potentially have some children in school, but also still being able to support some children out of school as well. One thing that we are working on, really importantly, are safety procedures, because whenever the school opens, whether that be at the end of May or whether it even be in September, it is very clear that the safety procedures, the hygiene procedures that we have in place are going to be key to really give people confidence about coming back to school on a completely full-time basis. Clearly, when things happen, we'll need to follow the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education guidelines, but rest assured that we are doing lots of thinking and making lots of preparations ready for whenever that opening happens. Maybe the thing I'll leave you with today, the final thing I'll leave you with, is that during the course of this week, our grade 12 students who have now formally finished school have been coming back one by one during the week to drop off their textbooks, pick up their convocation gowns, and maybe I'll say a bit more about convocation next week, pick up their convocation gowns. And that's been an absolute highlight for me this week. I've talked about members of the support staff and teachers coming in occasionally, but actually just to see some students walking through our doors really lifts my spirits. So I'm really excited about the day when we can get back to some kind of normality. It may not be the same normal as we had previously, but some kind of normality where these hallways and these classrooms are filled with the voices and the excitement of young people. Anyway, look, that's enough for today. Thank you so much for listening and connecting on this occasion. I look forward to connecting with you again next week. Do take care, everybody.